Hi, and welcome to part 2 of Chapter 5, Time Value of Money. Let me adjust the mic, it's a little low. And today we're going to finish up Chapter 2, and all right, that should be better. Okay, so we're going to finish up Chapter 2 here, and then show you both the spreadsheet as well as the slides. So we left off on the concept of ordinary annuity and annuity due. So in this graph here, chart, or table rather, in the ordinary annuity, your payment doesn't start at day 1, it starts at year 1. So you know when you're born, you're not born at 1, you're born at 0. So when the annuity, some annuities, the first payment goes in the start of the annuity, but most annuities are ordinary and it goes in at the end of year 0 or beginning of year 1. So the consequence here is that the annuities are both going to be a series of 5 equal payments of $1,000. The only difference is when you compound interest, if you're going to put the money in early, you're going to get an extra year's worth of interest at the end. So I'll show you, here's the formula, and let's go to the spreadsheet. I'll show you how we do it on the spreadsheet. So there's a tab called Annuity Due. So click on the Annuity Due. It's the light green, minty type of tab. Okay, so here I wrote, first payment is at the start of the year, and I said type 1. So this is a hint here. And you see, I like to leave these little comments here. So we're going to go again to formulas, insert function. You remember this from last time. Future value. So again, now this is an annuity. This first, this is an annuity. So we want this, see I put this PMT here. So we're going to put this in PMT. So I'm going to click that PMT. And then we have our N per is the years, number of periods. And then we have our rate, which is 10%. So because whenever it's annuity, we're using this payment function. Now, the other specific thing is under type, you have to put in 1. 0 or blank means ordinary annuity. Type 1 is the annuity due. So let me just show you. If you leave it blank, you're going to get an answer 1526, but that's ordinary annuity. If you put in 1, that's the secret password to get annuity due. And you see how that's 1,600, not 1,500, 1 extra year's worth of interest. Okay. Now that is the future value. Let's look at present value. So number 2 is present value. And it works the same way, except we're going to be choosing PV, present value, instead of FV. So here, same way. We're going to put in our rate. N per is 3, and payment is 300. And type is 1. 1 and done. So that would be present value. Okay. Now, the rest of the problems on this page are try problems 3 through 5. So you have 2 future values and 2 present values. So try this at your own pace just to cement this in. And what's great about this spreadsheet and you creating these formulas is that you could reuse them on the homework or the exam. In this way, it's the easiest way of calculating time value money problems is using the Excel formulas and functions. It's a lot faster than the financial calculator by hand or by regular calculator, or even by just plain spreadsheet, trying to do the formulas in the spreadsheet. So this is the most foolproof way. Yes. It means annuity due. Payment at the beginning of the year. 0 or blank means ordinary annuity. 1 simply just means annuity due. So that's all you have to do is same problems that we did last week, except we're hitting that 1 on the variable. So you just have to make sure, okay, future value problem, rate. I mean, it's just as simple as putting numbers into 3 boxes. And remember, this is negative because it's a payment. It's an annuity due payment. So present value or payments are always negative. So if you get a result, say your result looks like this somehow when you're doing it at home, if it's negative, it really is not negative because it's just the way Excel calculates it. So I put this negative here in the payment so it would come out positive. When you're using the homework manager or in the exam, all these time value of money questions are going to be positive numbers, not negative numbers. So just keep that in mind. That's the one quirk of this. That's cool. So these numbers look correct? Oh, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, see? Type 1. I think I might have done that to all of them. Does that look better? Yeah. Okay. All right. Simple, right? So you got that. You got annuities. Let's move on with the lecture. Okay, so here's an example of, this is an ordinary annuity where the first payment goes in on year 1, the annuity due would go in year 0. So what we're basically doing is, for each year, year 1 is the largest number by the time you get to year 5 because it has the most compound interest. So in year 5 there is no interest because you get it at the end of year 5, it doesn't calculate, so it's basically the future value by breaking it out. So the spreadsheet I already showed you. I can skip that. So the ordinary annuity is pretty simple. This is basically what the annuity is doing. When you do these annuity formulas in Excel, it's doing 5 individual calculations. So it's doing, what if you had $700 invested for 5 years at 4%, $700 at 4 years. So it's basically doing 5 individual time value money problems all in one problem. So that way you don't have to break it out into 5 separate problems. So for example, in this problem, it's a $700 cash flow as an ordinary annuity with a 4% rate. So if I go into the spreadsheet, and I'm just going to do this is a present value. Okay, so if I were to make this 700, buy now, and then this to be 4% for 5 years. See, it says 3240.93. Uh-oh. Because this I still have, I think, the annuity due in there. So I got to make this ordinary annuity by pulling this out. And 116.28, 116.28. So again, 700 for 5 years or 4%. Basically what this problem is, but you don't need to know all these steps. Just put it in that formula in Excel and you have your answer. Pretty quick and simple. So the annuity due is, you see, this is the only difference between the formulas, is this 1 more times 1 plus R. So this whole formula is ordinary annuity. They tack on this little piece here to designate annuity due. So when you switch to annuity due, see if they have the same problem here, 700 for 5 payments starting at year 0, not year 1. Now we get a different answer. So I would just go back in here and switch this to a 1. And we get this 3,240.93 exactly. So before it was 3,116, now it's 3,240 because you get that extra year of interest. Why? Because your money goes in a year earlier. So it's just a time shift. The ordinary annuities, the money goes in year 1, annuity due, the money goes in at year 0. So be careful when you read the problems on the homework and the exam. If it says investment at the beginning of the period, that's annuity due. So they may not say annuity due, but if they say the annuity starts at the beginning of the period, that's clue for annuity due. If it says at the end of the period, that's ordinary annuity. So if you read a textbook, you'll get the semantics of that because they may try and trick you on the problem. So you want to be careful to know, is this ordinary annuity or annuity due? All right. Okay, so now perpetuity. Okay, I don't have perpetuity. But perpetuity is the easiest of all the formulas. It's just the cash flow divided by the rate. So whatever the cash flow is divided by the rate of interest. It just means you're getting the same, you're getting that cash flow forever. So the way this formula basically works, so perpetuity is like a formula forever. So let me go back to annuity due. If I do I'll just do a perpetuity down here. Basically, you're going to get $1,000 forever at a rate of 5%. So how much is that worth? If you were to sell that annuity to somebody else, $1,000 a year forever seems pretty valuable. All I need to do is find out the value of this is to create I don't even use a function, I'm just going to use a formula. 1,000 divided by 5%, and this is the value of that, $20,000. And that's what's shown here, cash flow divided by rate. Pretty simple stuff. Not if the perpetuity is growing, it would be R minus G, which is rate minus the growth. Let's get into mixed streams. So mixed stream here. So this is, go to the mixed stream tab, just have that ready. So more commonly, say for businesses or investments, incomes will come in as a mixed stream, or the cash flow will come as a mixed stream. So annuities are the same number repeated over and over and over again. $1,000, $1,000, $1,000, that's an annuity. A mixed stream is $1,000, $1,500, $1,250, $1,300, $1,500. It's just a mixed stream of numbers that we want to figure out what the value of that mixed stream is. So you could do that, take each of the mixed streams and individually calculate their future value. So that could be done on using the single sum formula. You can just calculate each individual cash flow manually. So we're going to, here's the spreadsheet page. So let's go to, here's this. So you see this future value of a mixed stream. This is the spreadsheet. So I'm going to go actually to the spreadsheet. And you see these numbers, 1150, 14, 1290, 1150, 14, 1290. I kept the numbers the same for you to make it even easier. So what we're trying to calculate here is what is the present value of this mixed stream of cash flows. So I have a little note down here, and it says use the net present value function in Excel to solve this. Okay, so let's see if that works. We're calculating the present value. We could calculate each of them individually, but it's much easier just to calculate them at once. So pay attention to me now as I show you how this works. So look away from your laptop, your phones, because this is something you're going to want to follow. It's a little bit different. Again, I'm going to go to insert function, and I'm going to type in net present value, enter. I'm going to click on that. So the rate right here is the rate of interest. And then under value 1, I'm going to select all of the values for the 1 through 5, not the total cash flow. And then I'm going to hit done. So what you get is this 56,902. If I go back to the textbook, 56,902. See how easy that was? So net present value, here it is here. Just got to enter in the rate, the range of the cash flows, not the total cash flow, just the range, and you get the mixed stream present value. See how simple that is in Excel? Much easier than doing them one individually and adding them together later. So net present value is the function to use there. Why don't you go ahead and try it on problem 2? So try and calculate the present value using net present value for problem 2. And what we're calculating here is the present value of this mixed stream. So PV, we're calculating the present value. So I'll give you a second for that. Yes?
I had a question. So annuity dues, you can refer to them with discount rate, right? Do you ever give the discount rate?
If you're calculating the present value of annuity due, you use a discount rate. If you're calculating the future value of annuity due, you use the interest rate. And what I've done for all these problems is I've mirrored the instructions from the textbook. So that way, on any of these slides or Excel examples, if you're confused, you can read the textbook. I know you don't like to do that. So you can also rewatch this video, which is saved on Echo, the last one on Echo. All the future ones will be on YouTube. So you can always rewatch it, and if you missed a step or you're not getting it in class, because the size of the class, I can't go and individually help. And when I first started teaching, my class sizes were like 20. So I could go and like show everybody individually, but we live in a different world now. Right? Yes? They're all posted already. Yeah. Yeah, I'll open those all up. So that way you can work at your own pace. Okay. So let's do this exam. I'll do it again with you. Net present value, the rate here, and then the values. So I'm going from year 1 to 5, and I just have to say done. And 641,000, did you get that amount? Okay, see, simple, nothing to be afraid of. Now moving down to the future value of an annuity. So here again, it says you could use the FV function in Excel, use the net present value answer as your present value times -1. Okay, so let me show you how that works. So to calculate the future value, we're going to click on future value. Our rate is going to be the 8%. N per is 5, because there's 5 years here. And then the present value, I'm going to put a negative sign in there first, and just click on the present value here, because Excel, when you have a present value field, Excel needs that to be negative for it to work. If it's not negative, for example, if it's not negative, you might get something funky like, I'll put the M per in years, and if I was to make the present value this number, then you're going to get a result that is going to be negative. So to preempt that negative down there, I'm just going to put a negative up here to make it a positive 83,000. So that way when you enter it into my finance lab, you'll get it correct. So just remember, time value money problems rarely or if never have a negative answer. So don't put negative answers in the homework manager, it's positive. So the way Excel works, though, it looks at payments or present value as a negative cash flow. So it's just how I don't agree with it myself, but that's how they do it. Can't argue with Bill Gates. Okay, so try calculating the future value on the next cell. And when it comes to this chapter 5, there's a lot of content here in the entire chapter. So I'm trying to give you Excel tools for all of the formulas. So that way, now it's just a matter of you to interpret the problems. When the problems come up in a word problem format, the hard part is kind of interpret what they're asking for. Sometimes they're more straight up about it. Sometimes they're more beating it behind the bush, trying to, in words, get you to understand, is this a present value problem or a future value problem? Is this annuity? Usually they'll say cash flow. If they say cash flow, you know it's an annuity. They might not say annuity in the problem, but they say a series of cash flows, that's an annuity problem. You know, so that's the only trick of the game here. Okay, so what did you get for this? Anybody want to volunteer an answer? All right, well, I don't have it memorized, so let's test that. I know, I wanted to be on, you to be on record first before I set it up. Let's see here. Looks like you were right. You must have a good teacher. All right. Okay, so we did the mixed stream should really go here because we're going to go back to the lecture. Oh my God, my phone is gone. Oh wait, I found it. I don't like to be without my phone. You know that feeling when you think you lost it, and you're like, and then you find it, and it's like, ah, found it. Okay, so this is, of course, the Excel. Okay, so we did the present value of a mixed stream, and this is how it graphically would look, and we used, so that was the first thing they did was the present value, and even in the book they're using net present value as well. So it's the easiest way of calculating it with just a few variable inputs. Now, we did this in the spreadsheet before, but I'm going to talk about it. Semiannual compounding. So basically what we're saying here is for semiannual compounding, we have to remember that we divide the interest rate and we multiply the years. So what semi means, and here is basically if we have this problem is $100 at 8% compounded semiannually for 2 years. So in 2 years, we have 4 compounding periods because we take 2 times 2. But the interest rate is 8%, but you see it comes here out to 4 because we're going to divide that by 2. Because if you have an 8% annual rate, you're not going to get 8% on your money every 6 months. You're only going to half that. So that's why you get 4% in 6 months and the other 4% in the next 6 months. But the semi-annual compounding, as we saw in the spreadsheet, increases the interest because you can get interest on your first 6 months' interest. So your interest comes sooner and you can earn interest on that. That's part of enhancing the compounding effect. So in the spreadsheet, I show you under, say, the future value, I have this little map down here. Annual is 1, and it's frequency, called frequency or M. So it would really be M times N per or N, or number of years. Number of years might be easier for you. So annual is 1, semi is 2, quarterly is 4, monthly is 12, and daily is 365. Not hard to remember. So if you're doing something daily, you take the interest rate, you divide by 365. You take the years and multiply by 365. So it's a pretty simple way about doing that. And we did cover that last class. So quarterly compounding is going to be 4 periods for a year. So this would be the same problem, $100 for 8%, quarterly over 2 years. So instead of having 4 entries, we now have 8 because it's 4 per year. And instead of being 8%, it's now 2% because we're dividing by 4. So the 8% becomes 2%. And the 2 years becomes 8 periods because, so years are not periods, or years are not always N per. N per is going to be the years multiplied by the frequency. It's pretty common sense at this point, and we've done a number of problems to calculate this on the spreadsheet. And when you compound more frequently, and we discussed this, I showed you, annually is going to be the smallest value. Semi-annually will be a higher value, and quarterly will be an even higher value. Now, granted, it's not that much higher. We're talking 24 cents. But over time, it does add up. And over time, you would want, that's why most of the loans that you take out, car loans, mortgages, credit cards, are compounded at least monthly. But most of your savings accounts are going to be compounded quarterly because it means the bank pays you less interest. And then you pay more interest on your monthly account, so that's how they kind of really stack. Banks are all about stacking the deck against you to make you pay more money and them to make more money. Just like in the simulation that we're running. You need to do everything so your company makes more money and your customers pay more money. You know? So raising prices in the simulation is not a bad thing. It does reduce some of your sales, but like I said previously, I'd rather sell less at I could make more money selling less at a higher price than selling more at a lower price. You just have to know where that break-even efficiency is. You know, I'd rather be Apple and sell 1 million phones at $1,000 a piece than to be, I think it's ZTE, to sell 1 million phones at $30. You know, those $30 phones, I don't know if those exist. Maybe they're $60 now, but you see what I'm saying. You would have to sell, you know, 25 million or 100 million to make the same profits. All right. Okay, so this is basically, you see now, this is the same calculation, but it's the M times the N, or the R divided by the M. Basically, I've been saying it's the interest rate divided by the frequency, or the periods, the number of years multiplied by the frequency. So it's just a modification on the formula. So it would look like we would take the 8% divided by 2, and the 2 years are multiplied by 2. So that's how it becomes 4% at 4 years. All right. And I already showed you how to do that in the spreadsheet. So in last class, we did the examples of the saving for retirement, or the car loan, and those are basically compounding monthly. You know, what about continuous compounding? Compounding interest for all of eternity. There is a formula for that, continuous compounding. I don't know if I have that. Okay. So there is there should be a formula in Excel where it would be E as a variable to the exponent of 8% times 2, because it's 2 years at the 8%. But they want to do continuous compounding for those 2 years, meaning it's just compounding continuously. Every second is compounding. And that would be a slightly different formula. I wonder if, I think there's an Excel equivalent. Maybe not. It might be why I don't cover it. All right. I'll tell you this, though. I don't really put any continuous compounding problems on the homework or the exam because it's a little bit more difficult to calculate than the other examples. So actually here they have, let's just do this Excel here. B3 times the times EXP. Oh, that's how they do it. Okay, so let's try this. We're going to create a new page here. Let me show you how. Hit this plus button. It'll create a new sheet, and we'll call it CC for continuous compounding. And then what we'll do is this problem is present value is 100. The rate, I'm going to make too small. Professor Nugent, make it bigger. The rate is 8%. And then years is 2. So then the continuous compounding, we're going to do B3. Oh, you know what? Let me put this in the same vectors as that problem. All right. So it's going to be B3 times EXP B3, B4.
EXP is the natural log?
Yeah, I think so. Times EXP, okay. That should be, I did divide, it should be multiply. Okay. It's not working.
Just write in like 2.178.
No, I was trying to get Excel to work here. B5, B3 times EXP, B times 4. Right, what am I missing? Did anybody get this to work? You did? 117 is what the answer should be. Oh, yeah, that's a mistake. That should be B2. Stupid textbook. There we go. Thank you so much. You get 5,000 Newton points today. As soon as my digital currency comes out, they'll be valuable. So can you believe the textbook is wrong? Okay. No, I don't want everything to be currency, just this. Okay, so that's how you do it. Yeah, the textbook is wrong. It should be B2. Sorry about that. I didn't write the textbook, though. So B2 is 100. So the formula, B2 times EXP, which is the exponent, parentheses B3 times B4. And that's how you do continuous compounding. Although I doubt you're going to see that in the homework or the exam, but I figured I got to make it. He'll be problem 2. I'll do problem 2. So if we were to calculate problem 2, you'd probably just go like this. So if you want to see if you can duplicate it on problem 2, problem 2. Oops. All right. I'm sorry about this. I just kind of get like a little want to finish it. I get a little compulsive like that, but there you go. Continuous compounding. Moving on. Not a very usual situation in the world of business that someone's going to offer you continuous compounding. Okay. Nominal and effective rates of interest. This is EAR, effective annual rate, is what we call EAR, and nominal is the stated rate. That's just the annual rate stated plainly. The effective rate is what it really is after compounding. So that's the difference. One is you're going to get 10% interest, but if it's compounded frequently more than 1 year, if it's compounded semi, quarterly, or annual, the effective annual rate is going to be higher. This is a way credit card companies used to trick you. Used to say your rate on your credit card is 8%. But then they do continuous or daily compounding, and it really wound up being like 9%. So in the truth and honesty of like Credit Card Act or something like that, they said that they have to publish not just the nominal rate, but the effective rate as well. So I'm going to teach you how to calculate that. This is the formula. So there's the annual percentage rate. That's the annual rate. That's usually the nominal rate. And then there's the annual percentage yield. And this is what must be disclosed to customers from banks, which is the result, oh, there it is, the Truth in Savings Act, and this is the real yield you're going to be getting. So let's go to, I'm going to move this after mixed stream and solve for, no, EAR, solve for EAR. So here, nominal and effective rate. So in this particular spreadsheet, I have 8% is the APR, the annual rate. And this is example 1. So nominal, or R or nominal rate is 8%. And that doesn't change. So it doesn't matter what the compounding frequency is. The nominal rate is 8% no matter how, because it's a meaningless number. It's not your real rate of interest. That's what the effective rate of interest is. This is effectively what your interest is going to be. So we're going to use the Excel formula effect. I don't blame them. Effect, we're going to use this formula, but I'm going to search for it in the box, the formula builder, because the formula builder gives you an easier. So you just have to put in the nominal rate and the NPERY, or NPERY. So that's really frequency. That's what Excel calls frequency. It's NPER with a Y. That's what their variable for frequency is. The textbooks use M, but I wrote that in for you here because I'm such a nice guy. So if their frequency is 1 and the nominal rate is 8%, it's going to be the same. The effective and nominal rate will be the same if you're only compounding once a year. But if you compound multiple times, because I should not use C5, I should use the one in line here, C7. So that way, if I use C7, I can drag it down. Okay. So this is how this would be. So if it's compounded monthly, your rate goes from 8% to 8.3%. It's one of the reasons car loans are compounded monthly. All right. So try the second example by yourself. 10%, what is the rate on that? Did you get anywhere from 10 to 10.47? Yeah, so 10.47, that half a percentage interest can be a lot of additional money depending on the size of the loan. Like a mortgage, if they show you, this is where it's probably most effective. If they show you in a mortgage, the effective rate could be 3%, but your actual rate might be 3.6% depending on the frequency. So that's a big difference going over your monthly and yearly expenses. Okay, back to the PowerPoint. All right. So we did that. We're not using the calculator. So we did the spreadsheet, used the effect on that. All right, and this is the actual same example that we did, but there's also a nominal formula. So if you're given an effective rate, you can use the nominal formula to move effective to nominal. So it works in both ways. So effective is what you would use to have, if you have a nominal rate, you want to convert it. So let's test that. This is scary. So for a test, a homework problem or a test problem, that's the only reason I can think of. It's a good reason though, right? Okay, so let's do the nominal. Let's see if it works though. I have the effective rate is 8.3 and the NPERY is 12. And yep, it moves it. It works. Yay. Excel wins again. Okay. Yeah, so if you had, say in a homework example, they gave you the effective rate and they give you the NPERY and they say, what's the nominal rate? You could use this nominal formula to calculate that. Okay. Okay. So we did this before. The deposits needed to accumulate a future sum. That was on, when we did this on the sheet, that was in the future value sheet at the bottom. Annual deposits to accumulate to a future sum. So they, yeah. So that's the same formula that we did last class using the payment function. Right, so same function. Okay, so loan amortization, this is a schedule. We should repay a loan. It's basically using the same payment function. So remember when we did the car loan in class? So the annual amount to repay a loan, so this, instead of doing saving up to a retirement account, this would be paying a loan. So this was also on the spreadsheet on present value at the bottom. The annual payment amounts to repay a loan. And so we went over that last class. A loan amortization schedule is just breaking it out by year. So instead of doing the full problem to the end of the period, it's just breaking out each year and breaking out interest to principal. So it's the same basic functionality, but we're doing it in a more detailed schedule that this is something you're not likely to see on the exam or on the homework. But it's just using the same principles we have, and we're just breaking it out. And the formula's down here, nothing too complicated. So this way, the loan amortization schedule is showing every year of the car loan. What's my balance? How much interest have I paid? And this is something that you may want to look at if you do take a car loan out or a mortgage. You can see how much total interest you paid, how your principal changes after each payment. So in the beginning, your principal payments are very small. It's mostly interest. And that's why, you know, when you have these 30-year mortgages, it makes almost no sense to pay it off in the 20th year because you're just paying principal anyway at that point, very little interest. So they front load all the interest. And that's why the loan amortization schedule is important because it details how that looks. Okay, and this is just basically schedule. Okay, so this is what I'm going to get to. Finding interest or growth rates. So we want to find interest or growth rates. We're going to use the rate section to do that. Okay, so let's go where I have solve for R. So this would be solving for rate. So when it says solve for R, so what we're looking for, and it's really simple because we're just going to use the rate formula. Why is this box hanging out here? Okay, this is the box. So it makes pretty easy to remember. So just go in here and we're going to look for rate. So we have a rate function, and then we're going to input our MPER, our present value, which is negative, as always, and our future value. So see here, future value divided by present value. This is the formula, but Excel is interpreting it in their rate function. So we get 7.2%, which is correct. I'll let you try the remaining 3 problems. Actually, yeah, do these 3. You don't do all the problems, but do at least 3 problems, and I'll get back to that in a second. Okay. If it was an annuity, you would use payment instead of the present value. But this is a single sum. But you can also do this as an annuity. I don't have those set up in here, but that is something that can be done as an annuity as well as a single value. To calculate find the rate of annuity or find the rate of a single value, all using this function called rate. We'll have that. There we go. That's one problem. If you cut and paste, you get that comment with it. So 5, 30, and 11%. Did you get that? Okay, all right. So that's how you would calculate a rate. The next thing would be how to calculate a number, the NPER, or number of years. So this is all basic algebra. If you have 3 of the variables, you could calculate the 4th. So if there's 4 variables here, having any 3 of these, you could calculate the 4th one. So here we're just calculating number of periods, or NPER. So to do that, I left another note here. Some reason slide it over here. Bring this over. So we just use the NPER formula, NPER, which is pretty simple again to remember. So just search for that. And again, we have the rate. And here we have the present value. And we have the future value. And this will give us the number of years, which are 11.9. So again, you may see a problem like this on the homework or the exam that says, gives you all these variables and say how many years, what's the number of years for the investment. So if we want to go to if you have $1,000, basically what this is saying, if you have $1,000 in your bank account and you're going to get a 10% rate of return, how long will it take that account to grow to $2,500? So this is what the NPER formula answers. How long will that 1,000 grow to 2,000 at a 10% rate? And the answer is 9.61 years. So that's if you have money in a retirement account or a savings account or a mutual fund and you have a number what you think it will grow to each year, you could use this to figure out how long till I have enough money. The only thing that's negative is present value. Like I said, present value is always negative in Excel. Oh, this one down here? Oh, because this is a repay a loan. So we did here as an investment. The payment's negative because that's really present value because you make the payment today, or think of a payment as negative cash flow. So to calculate this, we use the same function, but instead of, we'll put in the same rate, but we'll put the payment in instead of the present value. And then we also have the present value. But we need both. But in this case, the present value is not going to be negative here because the payment is what's negative. Confusing, I know. But that's why I have the template. So you use the template a few times and you won't need to remember anything because you'll have the template working for you. The problem is, if in the problem I made them both negative, it's not going to work. It's going to be, you're going to get this result. It's just going to come out negative years, and that makes no sense. So that's why one of them has to be positive. But like I said, your results for time value of money, you should never have negative years, negative interest, negative, unless you're using a negative interest rate, which could be coming the way things are going. All right. Okay. Yeah, so loans that have higher interest rates take longer to pay off is basically what it's saying. So it's the same loan, $25,000, this is 11%, this is 15%. Because this is higher, even though the payment's the same, it's going to take longer to pay that off. That's why if you have a 30-year mortgage, you're going to have a lower monthly payment than a 15-year mortgage because of the time. And same thing with a car. You could take a 5-year loan or a 3-year loan. A 3-year loan is going to be more money than a 5-year loan because you're spacing out the payments and the interest more. Back to the lecture. This is what the actual formula is, right? Would you like, if you don't have Excel, you have to do a log. I don't even know what that is anymore. Logarithm. You need the scientific calculator that you got in high school. Do you still get those in high school, scientific calculators, like for $100 that you never use in college, especially if you're a business major? They used to be. I don't know what they are now. Okay. All right. Okay, so okay, that's it. Everything else we covered in the spreadsheet.